everybody, my name is Tasmin May. Welcome back to my channel, Tea Books and Tasmin. Today I look a little bit different. We've had an upgrade and also manga haul. I turned 23 recently, and the day before my birthday, we were just out of lockdown in the UK. I managed to get a hair appointment. So I have now become Gwenpool. In case you didn't know, she's my favorite Marvel superhero. On with the books. I have recently really got into manga, and that is because I decided to rewatch Mew Mew Power, which is an anime of the manga Tokyo Mew Mew. I grew up watching Mew Mew Power. It was so important to me as a kid. I read the first 2 volumes of Tokyo Mew Mew when I was a kid, but when I decided that I wanted to be really grown up, I got rid of them and a few other mangas that I had as a child. So some of the first mangas that I bought were the Mew Mew Power ones. I wanted to reread them, and as I was doing research into that and where I can get hold of them, I discovered a whole bunch of other ones. I'm just looking at them splayed out on the floor in front of me right now, and I am having the time of my life. I've read quite a few of them already. I'm actually going to be doing a video on Penguin Platform in June, recommending you how to get into manga, which books to read if you like certain genres and stuff like that. I'm still planning at the moment. I need to obviously read at least the first volume of a whole bunch of different series. So this is just like, it's market research for me. What? I can go to Forbidden Planet and be like, it's my freelance work. So let me start off the book haul with the ones that I've already mentioned. Here I have in the omnibus format that they are still printed as volumes 1 through 7 of Tokyo Mew Mew. I have finished this series now, and I'm currently reading the sequel duology, which is Tokyo Mew Mew a la mode. I'll get onto this in a second. I finished volume 1 in the sequel duology and I have 1 left. So in these omnibuses we have volumes 1 and 2, volumes 3 and 4, and then volumes 5, 6 and 7. These follow a group of 5 young girls ranging from, I think the youngest is about 8 in this to the age of maybe 15. They do age them up in the English dub of the anime. These 5 young girls have compatible DNA with some nearly extinct creatures. They are infused with their DNA to get these like superhuman powers, and this happens so that they can try and defeat the aliens who are trying to take over Earth. So the anime and the manga are quite different. In the original format, the aliens actually used to live on Earth, and the reason why they are trying to get rid of all of the humans is because they don't like what they've done to planet Earth, what we have done to planet Earth. So they are trying to take over the planet to take it back for themselves, which honestly I kind of see where they're coming from, really. It says on the back that it's age 13 plus, which I would definitely recommend because there are some sequences in these books that are very inappropriate. It was written in like the early 2000s, maybe even 2000, in East Asia, where there is a lot of misogyny, more so than we do still have in England, for example, which is where I grew up, and especially a lot of internalized misogyny. There are quite a lot of scenes of sexual assault that are glorified. A random person would throw her up against a wall and kiss her even though she's 12, and she'd be like, oh my god, does he love me? Like, no. Bitch, no! So definitely if you're gonna read these, go into them with that in mind, that there is some stuff in here that is very outdated and should never have been okay, but at that time was much more normalized. The whole experience was so nostalgic for me that I just had the most incredible time. I'm actually sort of preferring Tokyo Mew Mew a la mode because the toxic relationship that takes place in the first series isn't the main focus in this one, and in this one there are much more healthy relationships. I would recommend them if you just want something light and fun, but I did particularly want to highlight the sexual assault in it so that especially if you're a young viewer, if you were to read it, you know that that isn't good, because I wish that I'd known that when I was a child and I watched and I read them for the first time. Okay, if we're going sort of thematically, I think the next sensible one to show you would be volume 1 of Sailor Moon. I haven't read this one yet. I really like the images and the fan art that I've seen over the years. I feel like it's a similar vibe to Mew Mew Power. Got teenage girls, they transform with magic, they save the world with magic, and I'm pretty sure they're like secret identities. And also later on, I don't know if it's later on in the original series, there have been lots and lots of spin-off series of it, but there is a female-female romance. I believe it's not explicitly said, and I think they tamed it down a bit for the anime, but from an article that I read when looking up queer manga, they specifically said that this relationship is almost canon. Don't really know what that means, but Hey ho, can't wait to get there eventually. Then on my Kindle, I bought and have just started reading Cardcaptor Sakura. I bought this because I have, again, heard of it a lot in the past, like Sailor Moon. And as I only have one more volume of Tokyo Mew Mew a la Mode and the other spin-offs of Tokyo Mew Mew haven't yet been translated into English, I wanted something with a similar sort of cute vibe to keep me going through life. Cardcaptor Sakura follows a young girl called Sakura who one day opens up a old tome that she found in a father's library or someone's library, and they have found out that there are these magical cards, like a deck of cards, and each one contains some sort of magical creature, and they've all escaped. So far I'm getting major Pokemon vibes, except instead of using Pokeballs to catch them all, she's got these essentially like tarot card looking things, and she needs to collect them all again, otherwise these creatures, these magical creatures, are going to cause havoc. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm very, very excited to see where it goes. Leading perfectly on from Cardcaptor Sakura is Pokemon Adventures Volume 1, which I believe is a bind-up. Collector's Edition, Volumes 1, 2, and 3. This is heavy. This is like a thick-paged boy. Pokemon was, again, so much of my childhood. I watched the TV show of Pokemon, the Japanese anime, dubbed into Chinese, and so I didn't know any of the names in English. So when I came back after the summer holidays, I'd be like, oh yeah, Pufuju, and people are like, what the fuck? Do I need to tell you about Pokemon? I think everyone knows what Pokemon is. You gotta catch them all. You've got to catch them all. Next in the young person sort of age group is the first volume in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. Now this is, I believe, an adaptation of the video game. I didn't have any games consoles growing up. I just bought a Nintendo Switch Lite for the first time, and I only have Animal Crossing. That is the only games console I've ever had. I would love to be able to play Kingdom Hearts at some point. I think there are two humans that end up in the Disney castle and they go on adventures to help the Disney characters. For example, we've got Mickey, Goofy, Donald Duck, those sorts of like old school OG characters. But what caught my attention in Forbidden Planet actually was when they were all lined up on another edition of a later volume, Princess Elsa, and I was like, I didn't even think to see if there was manga of it, but there is. So chuffed. I've been in quite the reading slump the last couple months. I got insanely busy with acting work in February and March, and so I didn't get much reading done. But manga has been getting me out of the slump. I read like 11 mangas in April, I think. And I know that there might be people that are like, oh, that's not actual reading, but like, you know, you can go suck my dick. I don't care what you have to say. The final one that I think is of this sort of age range is Witch Hat Atelier. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And this is a floppy paperback, which I'm very happy about. This follows a young girl called Coco, and she lives in a world where people are born with magic or without magic. But then one day she stumbles across someone who is practicing spells, and she finds out through them that actually you can learn to perform magic. I'll read you a bit from the blurb. Blah, 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 blah. With this knowledge that you can study magic, Coco starts to try to teach herself the witch's way with charms, and yet her aspirations go awry as Coco's magic causes grievous harm. To set things right, young Coco leaves home, and so begins the tale within this tome! Next one I'm going to show you is Last Round Arthurs. Okay, let me read you the blurb. For as long as he can remember, Rintaro Megami has been able to do everything perfectly, but life as a genius is boring. That's why when he is about to battle to determine King Arthur's successor, he decides to have a little fun and join forces with the weakest candidate, Luna Arthur. The only problem? Luna already sold her Excalibur for cash. As the nighttime battles of swords and sorcery intensify, will Rintaro regret backing such an utter scumbag? Oh, it sounds so good. This is a new series. I believe there are only 2 volumes that have been translated into English so far. I think there might be like 5 in Japanese. This again has a very clear sort of art style inside, which I'm very, very grateful for. And this is recommended for teens on the back. Ah, one more that might also be sort of for teenagers. This is Ultraman Volume 1. Ultraman is a Japanese superhero that has been around for a very, very long time. I grew up with the Japanese TV show dubbed into Chinese when I was a kid from the 1960s. Very old. I'll show you some pictures here of what it's like. And yet, it traumatized me. Obviously puppets and humans in costumes, stuff of nightmares. I discovered recently that Marvel and the production company of Ultraman are now working together, and there is a Netflix Marvel animated TV show of Ultraman, and Marvel also bringing out comics of Ultraman too. Why do you look like Iron Man? Are you Iron Man? Oh no, he just has a thing. Ah, yes, okay, so Shin Hayata was the original Ultraman. This is set decades later following Shinjiro, who is an ordinary teenager, but his father is Hayata. There we go. When he learns that his father passed on the Ultraman factor to him and that he possesses incredible powers, nothing will ever be the same again. Oh my god, I love it so much and I haven't even read it yet. I will finish talking you through the fantasy ones that I have, and then at the end I will show you the contemporary ones. Okay, the next three are very, very famous because they have famous animes. You've probably heard of this one. This is Attack on Titan. I have watched season 1 of the anime. I watched it when I was maybe like 18, 19, something like that. But now I am subscribed to Funimation, which is a streaming service for anime. It's like £5 a month or something like that, which is so, so worth it to support an industry that I love so much. And it has all 4 seasons of Attack on Titan. This is a sort of fantasy dystopia set in a future Japan where, you know, the world's ending. You can see a human here, and then in comparison the size of the Titan, who are these magical creatures that the people don't understand. One day they just sort of appeared and started eating everybody, and now humans have developed a society in which they're able to protect themselves and sustain themselves while defending themselves against the Titans. It's incredible. I mean, the anime is incredible. I assume the books are going to be potentially even better. This is one of those stories that is like a massive overarching story across all of the books, and then obviously with individual subplots going on throughout. So I have a lot of questions after just watching the first season of the anime, and now I can finally start to learn more. There's also a prequel series which is set when the humans first, I believe, start getting attacked by the Titans, and how they develop the world in which our main characters in this are brought up in. The next one is Tokyo Ghoul. I've been recommended it so, so much. Would you class it as a horror, people that have read it? I think so. Thank you, cats. Exquisite timing as always. I am bad with horror, but gore I can deal with. And if it has an excellent plot, I'm willing to risk my sleep. Oh cool, more eating humans, excellent. I love a zombie story. They're just so good. And this, obviously, like, they're calling them ghouls, but essentially it's a version of a zombie story. The main guy, I've just learnt from the blurb, turns out to be, or he is somehow made to be half human, half ghoul in a world where humans and ghouls do not live well together. Also, my darling Jodie from Vanilla Moon is currently reading the series too, so I'm very, very excited to discuss this with her. I've already messaged her when I watched her latest reading vlog, being like, oh my god, I just bought volume 1, because she was reading like volume 6 or 7 in it. So I'm very, very hyped to have somebody else to talk to about this. Final of the ones that I had heard of before going on a deep dive intensive research moment is Soul Eater. I was recommended it by a family friend who is another Asian halfie who I've literally grown up with. She's like 3 years younger than me, and I have a distinct memory of seeing her mum pregnant. Probably a figment of my imagination, but that's how long we've known each other. Really, really enjoyed the little bit that I saw of it. I do believe it's quite explicit. I remember there being a lot of boobs. I believe the kind of plot of this is that there are young people who are soul eaters, who are essentially scythes, they're death, and they have to reap the souls of tainted mortals. I think the beginning entrance story is that they need to have obtained 100 souls in order to pass through to the next level of training, something like that, and I'm very, very excited to get back into it. This next one is Fairy Tail, as in a cat's tail. Ha 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 ha. I bought this on my birthday when I went to Forbidden Planet because, honest to God, they didn't have any volume 1s in any series that I had heard of. So I just picked this up, read the blurb, and I was like, okay, cool, I can vibe with you. I feel like we're gonna get on fine. And now I have it, even though I haven't heard anybody else talk about it. If you know anything about it, let me know. I'll read you the blurb because, like I said, I know nothing. The wicked side of wizardry. Cute girl wizard Lucy wants to join the Fairy Tail, a club for the most powerful wizards. But instead, her ambitions land her in the clutches of a gang of unsavory pirates led by a devious magician. Her only hope is Natsu, a strange boy she happens to meet on her travels. Natsu's not your typical hero. He gets motion sickness, eats like a pig, and is best friends with a talking cat. That's why I picked this up. Fairy tales, adventures, pirates, talking cat. Sold. Talking cats, ripped men, massive boobs. Oh my god, so many boobs. They're like boobs. The cat's blue. I fucking love manga, what the fuck? This next one is actually another one that I'm not aware of. I picked up Witch Hat's out, and next to it, because it's alphabetical in Forbidden Planet, was The Witch and the Beast. I saw that it is matte and it is a floppy paperback, and I picked it up and I was like, oh, you're very, very pretty. This seems to be a vampire, werewolf, witch sort of story. I picked it up because it was next to the other one and I was like, well, we might as well. This one I obviously picked up because it's called Wonderland, and it is some sort of Alice in Wonderland retelling. Had to get it. Had to. Survival of the tiniest. Teenage girl Yuko awakens to find that she is shrunken in size, but there is no rabbit hole or fairy tale in this. This is real life. In a desperate, bloody struggle to stay alive while fleeing giant predators and other twisted dangers, Yuko discovers that she is not the only person who has turned tiny. Can she survive long enough to learn the truth behind her curious transformation? There's a Cheshire Cat looking figure there. There is a clock that actually says Alice in Wonderland on it. Of course, she's wearing the Alice outfit. There are playing cards. On the back, there's a White Rabbit toy with the playing card symbols on its clothing. A bottle that says drink me a pumpkin just for good measure. The final of the fantasy-esque ones that I want to show you is another one that I have on my Kindle. It was the first one that I bought on my Kindle. I shit you not when I say that I called 5 or 6 different bookshops in London and they had all sold out of this book. It's really high quality. Same with Cardcaptor Sakura. You can zoom in and all sorts of stuff, so if you're worried about it maybe not being high quality enough, don't worry about that. And that is volume 1 of The Promised Neverland. I've now read both volume 1 and volume 2. I've just bought volume 3. I watched season 1, which was recently put on Netflix, which must be why it has sold out everywhere, because everyone like me has watched the show and is like, I need to read this. I always do research online before I buy a new series, if there is an adaptation, just to see what people think, if the anime or the manga is better. In this instance, the manga has been said to be better, and I already can agree. I love the show. The show is fucking incredible. I recommend it so highly, but the manga is sort of even clearer in terms of all of the characters' motives. There were a few things that happened in the show and I was like, I don't know how we quite got here, but okay, sure. But when I got to those moments in the manga, I was like, oh, that makes sense now. So far, at least with the first 2 volumes, it's pretty much identical in terms of the story and the structure and the scenes and the characters and everything. But I've been told that in the 2nd season of the adaptation, it changes somewhat and that it's not as good as the manga. So that's why I decided to pick it up. It's also just finished. I believe it's like maybe 25 volumes long, something like that. This primarily follows 3 11-year-olds who are soon to turn 12. They live in an orphanage and have lived there their whole lives. I think there are 37 children that all live there, and they're raised by one woman who they all call mom. It's the happiest place. They all love it there until one day 2 of those 3 children find out a dark secret that's not so hot, and suddenly, whoop, shit happens. When the reveal happened at the end of episode 1 in the anime, I was like, hang on! Was not expecting that. One of the things that I really appreciate that it does so well is that it shows how young people deal with intense situations. One of the things that I hate most about poorly written YA is when adults assume that young people will be overdramatic and massive drama queens about everything. Even in an end of the world situation, you quite often read YA books where the character's like, oh, where's my lipstick? I'm like, fuck off, no! No! In this situation, the children are really fucked, and you see them think, be intelligent, work things out, find a way to get out of that situation. I love it. On to the final 4. These are real life contemporaries, and actually 3 of the 4 are queer. I'll show you the one that isn't queer, that I don't think is queer. This is Omnibus 1 of Orange. I sort of don't want to know anything about it. It's a high school setting and it's supposed to be really well done and make you feel things. I'm not gonna read the blurb. I'm not gonna read the blurb. Just know, if you haven't heard of this before, that this is an incredibly highly acclaimed series. And even when I was walking around Forbidden Planet and I had it in my pile, someone that was sat on the floor looking at a lower shelf went, oh, you're gonna cry. And I went, oh, great, thank you. The final 3 are gay. This one was from my lovely friend Spoops. I love you so much, thank you. Ridiculous, you didn't need to do that. This is I Hear the Sunspot. This is volume 1 in one of her favourite series. She has a queer graphic novel / comic / manga illustrated book club, which I will link down below. The fact that she had paid attention to my Instagram stories and stuff and had seen that I've been really getting into manga, and obviously knows that me being a queer person is very much an important part of my identity. And she combined the 2 and oh, I was just so touched. Thank you, Spoops. I love you so much. I'm very excited to read this and probably have my heart ripped out. This is a male-male romance. Don't know if you can tell from the cover. The final 2 are female romances. One of them I found out when I was Googling queer manga, and the other one I saw in the sale section of Forbidden Planet, A White Rose in Bloom. The cover caught my eye, and something just about the image, like the look over the shoulder, I was like, they're gay. They've got to be gay. And I read the blurb and I was like, oh, They are gay. This is a Yuri story set in a girls' boarding school. Yuri means soft, sweet, female-female romance. Ooh, so it's set over Christmas holidays when Ruby isn't able to go home from her boarding school. She gets to know Steph, who has a frosty exterior. I assume they fall in love. And it's volume 1 in the series as well, which I'm very excited about. I myself went to a boarding school. It wasn't an all-girls school, but the boarding was all girls until I joined sixth form. And then the whole school sort of shifted and we had boys in boarding as well. And I first fell in love with a girl when I was at boarding school. So I'm really, really excited to read that. The final book we've got there is After Hours. This is a female-female love story. Emmy is 24. She doesn't know what to do with her life. She goes to a dance club, and then Kay, the DJ, with her effortless self-confidence, captivates Emmy. Is this just a wonderful night out, or is it the start of the rest of her life? Hello! And that is all of them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I was so excited to make this. As soon as I was getting into manga and anime, I was like, I can't wait to share my new love with the world. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to be doing a video for Penguin Platform talking about how to get into reading manga, which will be going up in June. You're amazing. Thanks for watching. Stay sexy. Mwah.